Yeah, it was great.
That's
Getting
good to
to,
hear.
spend time in person with the Duran boys, Alex and Alexander, also with Robert Barnes, you know, a fun group.
A very fun group. Um, what do I don't have a nice joke to start with. I didn't prep a good joke, so I just
Oh
usually
my
have a
God. Then
nice
I'm
hook for the show.
I'm quitting.
I
If you
didn't
can't
do
come
my
up with
homework.
something decent, oh
I
my, you
didn't
know,
do my homework.
you'll have one job to do, and you can't do that. Well, oh my goodness.
Damn it! I can't think of anything. Oh shit!
Okay.
That's not a good start. Crap. Let's start again. Hey Larry, how are you?
I'm well.
Trump is threatening to wipe out a civilization again. How's that for?
Yeah, real
That's a good.
well.
That's a good one.
Which one? The U.S. civilization or some other country?
All right. You
You know.
saved me. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
um,
Trump. Trump can't figure out who he is.
you cannot, you cannot.
One day he's wiping out Iran. The next day he's got the Strait of Hormuz open. The guy has a rich fantasy life. You
He
know.
does. Um, well, I'll start with this story because this is something you've been very vocal about. And this is starting to come out in the reports. So we've talked about the depleted munitions previously, and the
Yeah.
numbers were 50, 60, 70% depletion, which is catastrophic. That's really, really bad. And you were
Minimal.
saying,
It's much
yeah,
worse than that. But
exactly. That's what you've been saying for a while.
yeah.
And a report just came out, Reuters this morning and CNN just now. This morning, Reuters said the US has used virtually all of its long range precision missiles during the war, the ATACMS and the PRISMs, and the ground to ground missiles. And so that's in the morning. And CNN just put out a report about 20 minutes ago. I saw it come out. The US military has used up nearly 80% of key missile interceptors as commanders warn stockpiles are dangerously low. The US military has depleted nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptors and about half of its Patriot missile interceptors compared with pre-war stockpiles. So the THAAD was about half beforehand. Now it's about 80%. So I'm guessing they used a lot more after the ceasefire. The US Army has used virtually all of its precision long-range surface-to-surface missiles, blah, blah, blah. Officials from Gulf states have also warned that shortages of US-supplied air defense interceptors could leave them more vulnerable to potential Iranian missile and drone attacks if the war escalates further. I actually posted, as soon as I saw the headline, I just literally posted this image of the headline, and the tweet said, translated, the war is over. Because this is, you cannot just fabricate interceptors. There is no way Trump can continue this war. And that's why, for people that think I'm just being optimistic, this is why I'm being optimistic. It's because the US cannot militarily continue the war. Or if they can, but that would become suicidal for them and their allies in the global economy. So that's in long term, this is pretty horrible news for the US. But at least for short term and for the current, in relation to the current war, the current circumstances, this is great news because Trump cannot continue the war. He cannot deliver on his threats.
Yeah. Well, and the numbers that article is quoting on the Patriot missile interceptors, PAC-3s. Oh, they're so far off. It's not even ridiculous. They suggest they got half left. Nonsense. I'll throw the penalty flag on that and not use any obscene language to characterize it. Look, you can go open source, and people can do that on their own. Use whatever, Grok, whatever. Starting in 2015 to 2020, so that's 6 years: 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 6 years. In that period, the United States, according to open source, produced between 100 and 300 PAC-3s. So for the sake of argument, let's say that they produced 300 every year, that they didn't go to 100, they went 300. That gives them 1,800. Then from 21, 22, 23, 24, they produced 500 a year. So how's your math there, Mario? That's about 2,000, right? So now we're up to 3,800. And then they in 2025 through December 31st of 2025, they produced 620. Okay, so there's 4,420 missiles, right? Maximum. Okay, now how many did we give to Ukraine to fire at the Russians? So the number we gave to Ukraine, let's say 1,000. So that 4,000 comes down to 3,400. Guess how many we gave to Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Germany, Taiwan, Qatar, and I don't have the numbers for that. So that number, that number comes up close to, you get 600, you got 1,030 to the Saudis, 60 to Turks, 50 to the Germans, 102 to Taiwan, 200 to Qatar. So you have another 1,600. So if you
That's
go from
delivered or ordered?
Yeah,
That's
delivered.
To them?
No, delivered. Those are delivered. So
you're down to 1.8.
Yeah. How many were fired off during the 12-day war?
Yeah, don't know.
Think about maybe 500. So and this. So what I'm telling you is the number for PAC-3s, it's probably down around maybe 200 at that.
Whoa,
that's on a good day.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's very, very low. And then to top it off, what do you need to? There's one mineral that you especially need to produce those PAC-3s, called gallium. Who produces the gallium? Oh, that would be China, 99%. So we can't, even if we want to produce those missiles, we can't produce those missiles unless the Chinese decide to cut us a break.
Yep. So would you come to the same conclusion, and we've come to that conclusion already, but that Trump has no military path? And that's just one of the reasons why. Another one is he cannot destroy all their missile capabilities, cannot destroy all their drones. We went through the interceptors now, the missile interceptors to intercept Iranian missiles. There's also the same problem that exists with long-range missiles. Now, there's a solution for the long-range missiles is using shorter-range missiles and dumb bombs. But the problem with that is it makes the US more vulnerable because they have to get closer to Iran. And also they don't have the same precision capabilities. So they're not as effective as long-range missiles. But the interceptors is a much bigger worry because then it just leaves the entire, not only American bases vulnerable, but the entire Gulf vulnerable, the entire energy infrastructure in the Gulf. So Iran's, it's, yeah, like the war has just been so stupid, so dumb. And the consequences of it, like I was talking to Chris Martinson, who you referenced yesterday. He was my first conversation of the day, and we were talking about what's happening in Japan. It wasn't triggered by Iran, but it was worsened by Iran because the inflation is causing Japan. They buy all the oil from the Gulf. They import all their oil. High oil prices really screwed them. And so we're going to be seeing, and I was just speaking to Joe Kent, and what we concluded is the second and third order and fourth order consequences of this war will be felt for so many years. But it's just sad. It's honestly sad. It's just crazy what he's done for the to the US, how much damage he's done to the US. It's really heartbreaking to be an American right now.
Well, it's not just Trump. I don't want to heap all the blame on him. I mean, he's certainly worthy of a lot of blame. But this stupidity with the PAC-3s, that started under Biden.
Yeah.
You know, this just didn't start. I mean, look, the first production of PAC-3s happened under Barack Obama, 2015, and then continued under Trump, 2017 to 2021, January 21. And then after that, Joe Biden, it's okay. I have no problem blaming Trump, but there are a lot of others that can be blamed.
Yeah, of course. The system itself is flawed. But for me, what like these are issues in the American system. Brandon was explaining to me how the capacity for the US to repair its own submarines is very, very limited, and that's causing significant issues on that front. And he did a deep dive into it. But this is one of many examples, the production capacity when it comes to not only munitions, but also warships, the shipbuilding capacity, the Americans versus the Chinese. I saw a stat somewhere, the Chinese are hundreds and hundreds of times more the capacity is 100 times more than the American capacity to produce ships. I can't remember the exact multiple, but it's like a multiple where you see it and you have to go and fact check it. So there's all these issues. But what I mean is that this war itself is like, we're going to be probably having this conversation. We're saying this on a regular basis of how stupid this war is as we start seeing the consequences unfold. And let me tell you about the deal that's being discussed right now. So they were getting close. There's a lot of reporting coming in that the deal of the Iranian ship coming through the inbound ships going through the northern corridor, outbound ships going through the southern Omani American corridor. So that was the deal that seems to be progressing. That was proposed by Omanis, Qataris, etc., to the Iranians, and back and forth. So the one proposal amended. However, the news that came out today from the Wall Street Journal is that Iran has made additional demands. So first, apparently there's going to be one corridor. So the two corridor strategy or plan is apparently going to move to one corridor, but that's not that significant. What's more significant is that the Iranis are now adding further conditions. So they will have pretty much control of the Strait of Hormuz. There will be a fee. Now, I don't know if there'll be a fee now or when the deal is signed. So in the interim, there'll be like a short-term agreement before a formal long-term agreement is signed. In that interim, I don't know if there'll be a fee, but the Iranis have come back and said, we also want an immediate end to the U.S. naval blockade. Fine. Very fair demand. The lifting of U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil, petrochemical products, and gas. That's easy because it was lifted a few weeks ago, then reinstated by Trump. So they want it lifted again. Very, very fair demand. And this is a tough one for Trump to swallow. And I want to get your thoughts on it. Their new demand, according to the Wall Street Journal, is for the U.S. to explicitly acknowledge Iran's right to collect maritime fees. They want an explicit acknowledgement, which literally exactly contradicts what Trump repeated for months now, including yesterday. There will be no fees under any circumstances. Trump's statements. So do you think he'll be able to publicly acknowledge that, no, there will be fees? Or could that become a sticking point? It seems like they're trying to embarrass him.
Well, no. They're not trying to embarrass him. They're trying to make sure that they're made whole. If it embarrasses him, they could care less. But this is about securing what's best for Iran. And the Strait of Hormuz, as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, you've got a global recession underway. That it's not a matter now of postponing it. It's underway. It may not show up in all the statistics yet. It's underway. Getting that unblocked. And you saw it today, the desperate manipulations by Scott Bessent and others. Oh, we got a deal. Stock market goes up over 1,000 points. Yay! We're well. My God. There's no deal. And I doubt if there's going to be a deal. So it's just, and we'll be back to this, that once they realize, there's no deal, then the stock market will fall, then the oil market will go back up, and whoever's in there, playing the shorts and the longs, they're going to make money. And then we'll go back to, no, a deal is impending, and they'll go back up in the stock market and back down in the oil. I mean, God, how many times do we have to go through this before people realize that they're being played? Because Iran's demands have not changed 1 inch since they first made them on April 5th, April 7th.
You're feisty today, Larry.
Yeah, well, it's just, I'm getting frustrated with, for God's sake, folks, pay attention. They said it in April, they said it in May, they said it in June, they said it in July. Now we're in August. 5 months. They haven't changed. And here's the Wall Street Journal saying, we got something new. No, you got something old. You just weren't paying attention before.
Now we have on the Wall Street Journal, we have a bit more clarity on that report. Yeah. The other reports, the Wall Street Journal and others about the two corridors was an interesting one, but apparently that changed.
That was a Western proposal, and it was dead on arrival. Iran's never going to agree to that.
No, the deal was not that. To be honest, it gives Iran control. So all ships go through the inbound goes through the Iranian corridor. The outbound ships that go through the Omani corridor, Iran has also. So this is just a reminder, please. Oman also has the Iranian will have the ability to inspect and intercept any ships going through the Omani side. Can you see the writing on the image, Larry?
Okay, is that what it says?
Can you see it?
Let me.
I can read it out for you because maybe you'll remember it. It says, "Don't shoot the messenger. You might miss the message."
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So let me continue sending the message.
I'm not shooting you, even though I am armed.
It's just a reminder. No, but so the southern corridor, the ships will be going out. Iran, based on that proposal, will have the ability to inspect and intercept the ship if they see fit. So essentially, the proposal that was offered by Iran, this is complete capitulation on the American side. I wouldn't be surprised if they walk away with no deal and there is no deal. That one I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if the war returns, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's no deal. But also, there's two really shitty options: walking away with no deal or signing a capitulation deal. He signed the MOU, which is essentially a surrender document. If he was able to sign that, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually ends up signing a capitulation deal about the Strait of Hormuz, and then somehow flipping it into a win for some. I don't know how he'd be able to do that though.
Well, they changed the. They wouldn't call it a toll or a fee. I don't know. They put some other. They created some other creative name for it. A bonus.
A donation.
An incentive package. Charitable donation.
A dividend.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. That's the way.
We'll find out. We'll find out tonight if. So, on the basis that yesterday Iran hit 4 ships, is that your count?
There was one. Yeah, that's it. The Iranians hit ships yesterday. Let me get the exact number. And today the Houthis sunk a ship as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they sunk a ship. I'll tell you now. Let me see. Yesterday, I saved it somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yesterday, so a cargo vessel. So I know of one that was struck off the Gulf of Oman, the same place the one before was struck. So there was 2 in 3 days that I know of. And there's the Houthi one. And also there were drones attacked Kuwait from Iraq.
Right.
So I think, and this is, if I was in Iran, sorry, go ahead.
But no, I was going to say, so my understanding was they attacked one ship, 3 others turned back yesterday.
Yes.
So
I think that's the case, yeah.
And so, Trump had said previously, you attack one ship, we're going to go tit for tat. So we'll see if
he said, that would destroy a bridge or a power plant per ship.
Yeah. So we'll see if he follows through with that tonight. And then I was going to mention the attack in Kuwait. Now, I thought that was from Iran, but you're saying it was from Iraqi forces in Kuwait? I mean, in Iraqi forces targeting Kuwait?
May have come from Iraq. So unconfirmed. We don't know where they came from.
But anyway, there's an attack on U.S. military base as well. I've got
I-24 said the IRGC conducted an attack. So I-24 is an Israeli news outlet. The IRGC conducted an attack against U.S. base in Kuwait with 3 UAVs drones. At least one of the drones have impacted. The base was likely Camp Burin. And this is I think this is the Iranians keeping the pressure on Trump as they have for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
So, and if Trump doesn't respond, then I think that goes more to your point that you were making. See, I'm not shooting the messenger.
I can see you're giving a lolly to the messenger.
I'm praising the messenger.
Exactly. Exactly. What's going on?
All praise to Mario. All praise to Mario.
Okay, go ahead. Producers, clip that part. Clip it, please. It's a rare moment.
But that with that.
You forgot the praise now, Larry.
No.
You forgot the praise. You can't do it.
That having used up all these weapons, Trump is no longer in a position to really start carrying out these intensive strikes. They can't afford it. it exposes too much, particularly it weakens them vis-a-vis China and weakens them vis-a-vis Russia. So they say,
Yeah.
okay, we got to, the old Kenny, what was it? What am I? Kenny, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. This is his chance to walk away.
Know when to fold them. I know when you got something when to fold them. Let's see.
Everyone say Kenny Loggins. It's not Loggins.
The famous line is from The Gambler.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers.
Kenny
Classic
Rogers.
1978
Yeah.
country song.
Yeah.
There you go. And also we talked about how Iran has escalation dominance. What that means is when another country has escalation dominance, the enemy would worry about making the wrong move because if it drags them into war, they don't control what happens next. So when the Americans had escalation dominance in the early days of the war, the Americans knew when they attack Iran will retaliate in kind. If they stop attacks, Iran will stop. And that's been the case forever. So that gave Trump kind of comfort knowing whenever he attacks, he can stop at any time. The Iranians will stop. Well, the Iranians have twisted that now, flipped it on him. They said, hey, you stop, we're going to keep striking. That's strategically a very smart move because now Trump would be worried about attacking because if they attack him back, he has to retaliate. And that tit for tat would further weaken the US stockpiles because the Iranians are fine. As we said, this is existential for them. They're fine taking more damage and more hits in order to further weaken the US. And that strategy is what led to the US where it is now. So if Trump can't retaliate, the only other option is he has to rush a deal. Otherwise, they'll keep preemptively attacking and he'd look weaker and weaker by not retaliating. Like imagine the Gulf right now, seeing their bases being attacked with no retaliation. It's a horrible look for the US and the US security umbrella.
Yeah, supposedly that both the Pakistanis through Field Marshal Munir and in consultation with MBS, that they're delivering to Trump the same message. They are coordinating. I'm told they're coordinating their message. That, hey, I'm telling Trump, the window for you escalating, that's closed. There's growing consensus in the Gulf, and when they say that, I think it's consensus between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. I think still Kuwait, Bahrain, and UAE, they're still trying to figure out whose side they're on.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out as well because I'm worried we see that split in the Gulf because that will just weaken the region. I think they should come together. That's a whole other discussion. And I'm saying that from the outside. I really don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So, a senior Iranian source told Reuters earlier today that Iran is seeking control over inbound shipping through the Strait of Hormuz while maintaining visibility over outbound traffic with the ability to intervene if necessary under the temporary reopening. So this is what I said to you. So they want to control what goes in, monitor what goes out, and have the ability to intervene.
Yeah, well, and that's not necessarily a bad, I could see them, if they're able to impose the tolls or fees or bonus or dividend, we'll pick the financial compensation package on inbound ships, because they'll establish where are you headed, what are you going to be picking up, so that they charge that, and the United States goes along with that. Then Iran might be willing to say, okay, and you lift the blockade, you lift the sanctions. Then I think at that point, Iran would be saying, okay, now we're willing to talk nukes. But until all that other happens, they're not going to, the U.S. wants to get the nuclear deal done up front, and Iran's not willing to do that. They want unfrozen assets. You got to unfreeze some of the assets as well. They're not going to live on a promise that, someday we'll get to it. No, now.
Yeah. Oh, they're in a very strong position, so they could have more demands than they did beforehand, and be less malleable. By the way, I just saw a report here. There is just came out 5 U.S. Air Force tankers and 1 E-3 Sentry are in the air over the Persian Gulf. It doesn't mean their strike's imminent. It's just when I saw that report, I'm like in my mind, I wouldn't know what to make of anything if we just get reports now of major bombing by the Americans. I would literally. Oh, you remember how you used to always laugh and tell me, "Oh, Mario, you always look at things from a, look at things from a logical perspective or from a pragmatic perspective." I'd be like,
Well, I'm
"Yeah,
not.
Larry, there's
I'm.
no logic anymore."
I'm not opposed to logic and pragmatism. I don't criticize on that.
Yeah,
And
but you
logic.
laugh that the other side that they're actually deciding based on logic.
Well, yeah, no. Well, having worked on that side of the house, having seen it, I wish logic was the rule, the guiding principle, but it's not.
Yeah, imagine we get strikes now. That would be insane. That
No,
would be insane.
I think it's probably, I would say, fairly likely tonight, but we'll see. Hey, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I swear, if we go back to full blown war, I'll rebrand the channel and start talking about what do you talk about? Cigar reviews, movie reviews,
Yeah.
just something else. Anything but politics. That'll
Well,
be it for me.
it won't be quote full blown war. It'll be the United States wasting munitions that it can't afford to waste.
Yeah.
And to accomplish what? You remember back in July? So, how many times did the United States bomb Syria?
Oh,
Like almost every day, right?
yeah.
And then it was like on July 31st, last Friday, or July 30th, last Thursday, some ship tried to go through the Omani side and they got hit with a missile from Syria.
Yeah.
So all of that bombing for like the previous 2 weeks accomplished what? Nothing in terms of eliminating or reducing Iran's ability to launch an anti-ship missile from Syria.